Welcome to the Health by Haven podcast. I'm your host, Haven Quinlan. If you're a multi-passionate wellness enthusiast, then you're in the right place. I'm obsessed with learning as much as I can about the wellness world, and I want to share that with you. Each episode will dive into various aspects of health and wellness through inspiring and informative guest interviews with some solo episodes thrown in. Tune in for all things health, and let's have some fun, shall we? I'm so excited to have Rebekah back on the Health by Haven podcast today. We are now in the middle of our series on the 5 elements. So far we've covered metal in the fall, we've covered water in the winter, and today's focus is on wood. So Rebekah, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
And, being able to share just all of this, the seasons and how it feels in your body and what does this mean in acupuncture? Because I know so many people are curious, right? Every new patient I have in my clinic are like, I've just been, because I say, well, why did you decide, how have you had acupuncture before? And then most of them are like, no, but I've always wanted to try it. And I've always been kind of a little intrigued by it. So it's still a big mystery because, frankly, it's only been in the United States since 1972.
Yeah.
So it's still very recent. I mean, barely, 50 years in our time is it's not as inundated or understood as Western medicine, right? And it is a totally different language. And I think one of the purposes for this series as well is to understand that we want to hear the concepts of Chinese medicine. It's not so much in the absolute details because, like we talked about in the last episode, is that I can use same treatment for multiple different reasons and still get great effects because it's the concepts that I'm looking at of if a person's running hot or cold, or they're feeling damp, or they're feeling really like their skin is really dry. And what does that mean? Just to understand how the body relates to nature. And that's why we're doing it in the season that we're in. So now we're in the springtime. Oh, don't we love spring? There's so many beautiful things about spring, right? We made it through the winter. Oh my God, it's so cold. It was so miserable, right?
Yeah.
We went inward. We did some study of inward, but now we're ready to get outside and have some green around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really talk about this in the past ones, but you have spring equinox, right? You got
Mm-hmm.
fall equinox, and then you got the summer solstice, and you got the winter solstice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the equinoxes? Well, the equinoxes are equal in day and night. That's kind of cool.
Mm.
And then, of course, summer solstice is the longest day of the year, and then winter solstice is the shortest day of the year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my husband have a lovely argument that continues that because he's like, oh, we're right at the beginning of spring. I'm like, well, actually, we're halfway through spring.
Mm.
Because the spring actually begins way before the pivot points. And so if you think
Mm.
about summer solstice, well, now that's the longest day of the year. Well, the next day is going to be a little shorter.
Yeah.
A little shorter. So really it's the pivot point. It's the top,
Yeah.
called the apex. If you teach yoga, it's the apex posture. We say that February really is the beginning of spring. It's the first sign of green that just pops up, right? It's
Mm.
the first sign of what's the next season. So really that is the beginning of the season. And then by the time we get to the equinox, we're actually full on bloom, right? It's flowers everywhere. It's finally warm. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of spring is very much of the wood nature, and meaning it is very volatile. One day it's cold,
Mm-hmm.
one day it's warm. One day, and we can have 4 seasons in one day sometimes in the springtime, right? It could be rain,
Yeah.
snowing by the end of the day.
Yeah.
And and then the next day is 70 degrees. So like to talk about the wood is to think about that concept of coming in and going out, and it's a slow development of new beginnings, right? We always
Hmm.
think about that in the new year. Like, what are the new beginnings? What am I going to do differently this year? You know, and so I always tell my patients, I said, it's okay that you didn't make it through your New Year's resolution on January 1st, because how are you going to make a resolution of health and all of that stuff at January 1st, right in the middle of winter? I mean, it's cold,
Yeah,
you know,
seriously. That's such a
it's
good
not,
point.
it really doesn't make any sense. But by February, you're like, okay, gotten through the depths of the winters. January seems to be one of the hardest months of winter, right? That is
Hmm.
not when you need to get outside and exercise and sweat outside. Like, that is not healthy, because
Mm.
you will injure themselves. It's actually great business for me. Hey, you injured yourself, come in and get and see me. But but we don't want that. We don't want that. But
Mhm.
and so when it comes to February, then that's when you start to go, oh, okay, I might need to get a little bit healthier. Like, I want to start changing my food. Let me start to get more active. So the wood energy is the liver and the gallbladder. Okay, those are the organs that are
Mhm.
associated with that. So I want to go back to a kingdom. We talked about it a little bit in the winter phase. I really like to use it in talking about the wood, and because so you got a kingdom, you got a king, queen, they hang out with each other. Then you got the commander in chief, right? Well, what is the commander in chief? He's the army, he's the head of the army. And at this time, we're talking kingdom. So we need new places to conquer. We need to
Mm.
expand ourselves. And if you think about a tree, as it grows up out of the ground and then it comes outward, right?
Mhm.
That's the energy so that it becomes a big old tree.
Mhm.
So the commander in chief, let's just stick with the kingdom. Commander's like, man, I want to take over that kingdom over there. We're going to prep for that. We're going to prepare, and we're going to take over their land. And the army is represented as the gallbladder. Okay.
Mm.
And a good commander is going to talk to his comrades, right? His army.
Mhm.
He's going to talk to them like, hey, I'm thinking about, taking over this kingdom. And do you guys think this is a good idea? Do you feel like we're equipped? What have you? And then the army says, "Oh no, we're not ready for that just yet. We need to prep for this and this and this." Okay, we'll hold off. Or it says, "Oh yeah, we are ready. We've been prepping for this. We're ready to go." So the liver is the commander. The gallbladder is the army. And so the what we say in Chinese medicine is that in the springtime we get new ideas.
Mm.
We get creative.
Mhm.
So the wood energy is about our creativeness. It's our those like moments of like, I want to do this. Like, I
Mm.
want to make a podcast, right? And I
Yeah.
want to talk about health, and I want to talk about things of that nature. But that started with just an idea, right?
Mhm.
But then there was something in you that just was like, yeah, I can do this. This is the timing for me to do this. And so that is where the discernment of the gallbladder comes into play.
Mhm.
And so they kind of hang out with each other. So we say the gallbladder has a lot to do with decision making, discernment, boundaries.
Mm.
Talk about boundaries for just a moment. So the boundaries are to protect your parameter, right?
Mhm.
The parameter of the kingdom. Well, let's bring that into our body. The gallbladder channel starts right here, and then it goes down to the jaw, and then it goes around the ear on top of the traps, which everybody has little trigger points right there, right? And it
Mhm.
goes inward, and then it goes down the sides of the body. So I
Mm.
think the IT band, everybody knows what the IT
Mhm.
band is, right? It's going
Mhm.
down along the side. Well, that is your gallbladder, and that's the gallbladder channel.
Starting from the side of your eye.
Yeah, starting from the
Uh-huh.
side. all the way down to the fourth toe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it is how we set boundaries from an emotional standpoint. It's also our boundaries of our own bodies. So
Mm,
the liver has to do with the muscles, the ligaments, and the tendons. Those are the big things that I talk about in clinic quite a bit because a lot of people that come in are in pain,
mm-hmm.
right? Their low back hurts, or their hip hurts, or their shoulder hurts, or they've got headaches, lots of migraines, headaches that come up from the neck.
Yeah.
Like I said, the wood energy kind of comes up and then it comes out. Well, it gets stuck here, if we're not able to express ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about someone that's a very like a creative person, and they're usually or when they're not able to create like they want to, they get frustrated. They get
Mm-hmm.
angry, they get irrational. Those are the emotions that come up with what we call a liver stagnation. It's being at a halt, like it's being stopped. We know in Western medicine that the liver is a huge to do with recycling your blood cells, right?
Mm-hmm.
It creates your white blood cells, which is your immune system.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only organ that can actually replenish itself. If you cut off half the organ, it will regrow. It's a phenomenal
Wow.
organ. Yeah. And so we say that it regulates the menses in some ways. We talked about that in the winter phase.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do, but here's the thing, if you can't completely separate things, is that the liver has to do with the flow of menses, your
Okay.
period. It's about the flow of the body. So to take yourself into a forest, it's a beautiful day, right? The weather is just absolutely perfect. And you're taking a little nice hike up at Norris Lake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're walking through the woods, and there is this gentle breeze that just kind of floats through the air. And it's just like perfect. It's not wind that's blowing you down, it's not stagnant. So we say that the wood energy is about the very soft breeze of the body, of how things can flow in rhythm and in synchronicity. But when that flow gets halted for whatever reason, maybe it's an injury, maybe it's a car accident, right? You get
Mm-hmm.
hurt. It's stop stuff, right? And so now there's no flow. It's not flowing correctly. So that's where acupuncture can come in, right? To work on the muscular system of
Mm-hmm.
getting that flow back, and then the liver energy can kind of flow once again. If a lady comes in and she has horrible monthly menstruations, right? And she's got cramps and she has lots of clots.
Mm-hmm.
That is a liver thing. So we're like, okay, we need to smooth that liver cheek.
Mm.
And so that's huge, right? So we can get that to flow through the liver. So these are the things we're thinking about when the different systems. And like I said, with spring, it's very volatile.
Mm-hmm.
It goes from cold to hot to warm. So when I hear somebody coming in and they're like, "Yeah, I've got a hip problem. My left hip hurts, but then the other day it went over to the right side, and then it went back over to the left side." It's like, well, that can't be an actual injury because
Yeah.
it can only be where the injury is. So that is a liver symptom. It's coming and going. It's moving around. The pains move
Mm.
around. They don't stay in the same spot. And so immediately I think about the gallbladder and the liver and how can we bring that back into harmony so that they're not in pain?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably one of the biggest systems that I use so much because, like I said, most people, when they're coming in with pain,
Yeah.
so we start out with kind of that, we start out with, okay, here's the physical aspect, but then we talk about when did this happen, right? When did you fall? Was there something else happening in your life that might have tripped you up, if you will, by tripping and
Mm.
falling? So there's always an emotional component when it comes to pain, especially chronic pain. In an accident, okay, well, you got an accident and you just accept it for what it is.
Yeah.
But when you're in pain, say your hip is hurting and you don't know why. You're just like, I don't know, it just started one day and then it just seemed to never leave and then it went over to the other side. So then we're talking about an emotional issue of
Mm.
your boundaries. Are you setting your boundaries? Are you trying to make way too many decisions? Are you moving? And one of the biggest things that you can do for the liver phase or the wood phase is to exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Moving the blood, you're activating the muscles, the ligaments, and the tendons, and that will get things flowing once again.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cheap way of doing this.
Yeah.
And then depression. So in the fire phase, we talk about, which we will next season, the fire is more of that anxiety. Well, liver is more of depression. So when depression shows up, I think more in the liver aspect and the wood phase to think about, okay, what's depressing? So when you're not moving, if you've ever injured yourself and you're just stuck in bed for days, it's
Mm-hmm. The
yeah,
worst.
it is the worst, right? Like because you start getting in your head, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to walk again, even though
Yeah.
you sprained your ankle, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get better. But during those times, right? And but then if someone has problems with their menstruation where they don't have that, they'll feel heavy. Like PCOS is one that I worked with a lot,
Mm.
polycystic ovary syndrome. And that, I mean, any lady that's listening to this right now knows either has it or knows someone that has that and they have horrible menstruation. They won't have periods for 3 months. And then all of a sudden
Mm.
it comes and it comes hard.
Yeah.
And they tend to hold on to a lot of weight. They tend to be depressed. They tend to have headaches. Headaches is another big one with the wood, migraines, tension headaches. How many people have tension headaches on the side of well, there's the gallbladder.
Mm.
They're not being clear. They're frustrated, all of that kind of stuff. And that shows up right there. And so as soon as I hear somebody have that, I'm like, oh, so do you have jaw pain? They're like, oh yeah, my jaw is tight. Okay. Do you have does it's really tight up here? They're like, yeah, it's really tight up there. Um, do you have some hip pain? They're like, actually, yeah, my hips are really tight. Then I'm like, okay, you're not setting your boundaries or you're just making way too many decisions and you're exhausted. And when you put it into that perspective, it gives a whole nother viewpoint of where their pain is coming from and how their body is trying to say, hey, let's let this go, or let's get moving, or you need to speak up for yourself, right? And say what you need to say and get clear boundaries. And then you're going to find that you're not having to hold on to so much stuff.
The power of the mind body connection is just incredible.
Yeah, I think it really shows up in the wood phase in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. I mean, it shows up in all of them, but wood is a really clear one because anger is something that we can actually kind of see a little bit more in someone, right? They're
Hmm.
red faced, they're the way they enter a room, they're just like "Bah, bah, bah," and so when someone or they come in with a loud voice and they just are kind of like
Hmm.
yelling at me, then I'm like, oh, okay, this is a gallbladder liver issue. Let's
Hmm.
calm them down, and then they don't have to yell at me anymore.
Let's take a moment to think about the women in our lives and maybe even ourselves who give so much every single day. Avoda Massage Therapy is creating something truly special for all the moms, dog moms, plant moms, and mother figures out there. From May 7th through the 9th at their Lexington and Columbia locations, they're offering a limited time Mother's Day weekend experience designed for deep rest and intentional care. Picture this: a 75-minute massage that doesn't just stop at your shoulders. This includes a soothing face and scalp massage to help your entire nervous system soften and unwind. You'll also be treated with a handcrafted mocktail from Bubbly Mixologist, plus a small, beautiful bouquet from Pink Sunday Flower Shop to take a little bit of that calm home with you. It's more than a massage. It's a full sensory experience to help the body slow down, reset, and feel cared for. Spots are limited, and you'll need to book by May 4th to secure your session for Mother's Day weekend. So whether you're gifting this to someone you love or giving yourself permission to receive, this is your invitation to pause, be held, and be restored. So I know you're talking about the organs of the liver and the gallbladder and like the channels and everything, but I'm thinking about, I actually know a couple of people who have had their gallbladder removed for different reasons. Does that affect any of this?
I'm so glad you asked that question. Because I get that statement so many times. It's amazing how many people's gallbladders are removed.
Yeah.
I almost wonder, is this another symptom that could have been avoided way back when they started having these issues? If
Mm,
they were able to get some acupuncture or, kind of see it from a different view. Gallstones, right?
mm-hmm,
That's another way of it not flowing like it should, right?
mm-hmm,
Or you have necrosis where the gallbladder actually dies and then it's not doing anything. Um,
mm-hmm.
so I almost wonder, I wish, I could get a hold of someone that's like, okay, I'm having gallbladder issues. How can we fix this before we have to take an organ out? Because in
Yeah.
his medicine, they're like, the gallbladder is one of the most precious, most unique. They call it an extraordinary organ because it doesn't follow the rules of like the bladder, right? The bladder fills up and then it empties, right? The large
Mm-hmm,
intestine fills up and then it empties. That's what they call your bowels. And but a gallbladder holds the precious bile that breaks down fat uh,
mm-hmm,
into the sac, and it only releases as much as it needs to for that meal. It doesn't
mm-hmm.
just fall out. So it's a very interesting organ. But to answer your question, you still have a gallbladder channel.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that so when in our Western minds, when we're getting diagnosed, when you're in treatment, I always want to say, okay, I'm going to mention your organ, but I'm not saying there's something wrong with your heart or something
Mm-hmm.
wrong with your liver or what have you. So we have to kind of step that back just a little bit and remember that this is all based on the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the nerves because the channel starts here at the eyes, right? It influences the eyes quite a bit. So they say the liver energy has a lot to do with how your eyes move and how they can focus and they can see beyond yourself. That's another like example of looking beyond, right?
Mm.
To the foreseen or the unseen, right? It's like how
Yeah.
you can visualize. You can have a gallbladder removed. I almost think that it does maybe wear on the system a little bit, but I really haven't seen in clinic any differences by using the gallbladder channel or if the person shows up any different symptomology. So I always tell everybody it's fine. You don't have a gallbladder, but you have a gallbladder channel.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good news to hear, though, for people who are listening who maybe have had that removed. Is like you can still get relief from like some of these things that you might come in for and like use the gallbladder channel regardless of if you've had to have surgery.
It's so true. And yeah, and just remembering acupuncture is based on the nervous system and it is all about, like I mentioned in the winter phase that the kidneys have to do with the central nervous system. Well, the wood has to do with the peripheral. So the
Mm.
peripheral is your arms, your legs. It's the external, it's once everything moves away from the organs out of the body into the limbs. And so it manages that movement, which kind of goes back to the movement of your arms, your muscles, ligaments, and the tendons. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So understanding that everyone's different because they're coming in for different things, but maybe are there some common points you use in an acupuncture session for the wood phase?
so if someone, we'll use the extreme. So if someone is very deficient, so you come in and you're very pale, kind of skinny, like just look kind of frail like.
Mm.
and the pulses that we take are super deficient, you're barely, it's like, you just barely feel them, then that is something that I would use the liver because it's in charge of red blood cells and all of those things. And so I would use the liver in a way to help boost that system and what we call tonify, meaning we're just adding more tone to the system so that it can function. So, depression, things of that nature, I would definitely use. And a lot of times, what I'll see, so those are your more internal things. So, if they're having like cramps, in the menstruation, those types of things. That's a little bit more internal. Now, if they're externally, they're having more body pain, then I would use the gallbladder. So I look at the gallbladder channel. And the way I treat, the gallbladder is in excess because we've got pain somewhere, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's pushing up against something, and that's why it's triggering to the brain. Hey, there's pain here. There's something not moving. So then the brain says, oh, there's something wrong. We send a pain signal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that we change. And so I usually use, what's so crazy is the pericardium channel to help redistribute that energy into the gallbladder. They redistribute it to each other, and then it helps redefine that flow. It just reestablishes it because, again, the body knows how to do this. We're just using a needle to just say, hey, remember how you need to do. And it'll say, oh, yeah, that's right. That's how I need to act. And so then it changes its ways.
It's crazy. I was actually talking with a friend who goes to see you as well. We were talking about acupuncture and like having almost like a out of body experience. It's almost like you're feeling like you're like floating in the air,
Uh,
like levitating. I don't know how to describe it without experiencing it, but it is wild how like I don't know, you can have that like mental experience from like these physical points in your body.
it really is. And it's wild. Like we call that the acu high as a joke, right?
Yeah.
And somebody comes out of treatment and they're just like this. Like, oh, you got the acu high. And they're like, yeah, feeling really chill. And because it's so funny because you would never think that putting a needle in somebody would calm them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. I
Right?
was definitely an example of that. I was so freaked out at first.
It's so freaky because of our first experiences with needles and what we think about needles. The needle is just a tool. That's all it is. There's nothing special about it. There's no people ask if there's like medicine in there or whatever. I'm like, no. But what it does, which is, I think it blows my mind how they figured this out. There's also what we call acupressure. You can hold a point and you can almost feel like I'm holding like right here, thumb, and then find a little dent right there, and you can
Hmm.
kind of bend your wrist a little bit, and you'll feel like a little bit of a dent. Well,
Hmm.
that's lung 9. That's a huge lung point. Hold that point and just start to breathe deeper.
Mm.
And it just starts to open that up. And so it works with the parasympathetic nervous system. It tells the body that it's fine, it's safe. And sometimes you can just put one point in and you can all immediately see their body go. It's so
Yeah.
wonderful. If you really want to see it, this is funny. Google acupuncture in dogs. And you'll find
Oh,
these videos of these dogs or cats or horses, whatever animal you choose. And the acupuncturist will put a point in, and you can see their body calm.
yeah. That's crazy.
Takes out the placebo effect, doesn't it? I mean, placebo should be a positive thing. But anyway, like it takes that mental, they don't know what you're doing.
Right.
It helps calm the nervous system. And in the times that we're in right now, everybody needs helps with that nervous system calm. Oh, like restless leg syndrome.
Hmm.
That's a liver issue, right?
Oh,
Comes up at night. Let's talk about time. We'll be real quick on this, but
yeah.
talk about time. So every organ has a time like in the clock. in the system. So from 1 to 3 a.m. is liver time. Okay.
Okay.
So here's an example in our modern day. You drink some alcohol, right? The night before. You have a good old time. You had a couple of beers, couple of whatever. And then you go to sleep really easily, right? Because you
Yeah.
a little intoxication. You're like, oh, I can go to sleep super easy. Well, guess what happens? You wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning,
Yes. Oh my gosh.
thirsty and hot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they have found in Western medicine as well is that the liver function, we all know that we repair our muscles, our red blood cells, all of that stuff happens at night. That's why you have to sleep because otherwise the body just can't reset as well. So when you awake between about 2 o'clock, 2:30, that's the alcohol because the liver is processing the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in the time clock, it says that these hours, the organ, the literal organ, not just the channel, is working at its highest capacity.
Wow.
And so that's why that shows up. So it's just fascinating because then you can see like restless leg. Restless leg doesn't happen during the day.
Mm.
Never heard anybody say, "Oh, I've got restless leg during the day." It's always at night.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, that's the peripheral nervous system, right? It's the legs and it's jerking, it's overactive. So either it doesn't have enough energy and it's just like this empty wind that keeps stirring, that's what they kind of call it, or you have excess. More than likely, a lot of people that I find with restless leg are definitely drinkers,
Oh, okay.
because it affects the liver and then
Mm-hmm.
they start to have this restless leg. They also are really prone to anger, irritation, things of that nature, at least from what I've seen. Now, I can't say that's across the board because I'm now in my 7th year of practice. So, in that time of practice, that's all I've ever seen. So, I just find that interesting, and it kind of helps you kind of understand the correlation between Western and Eastern, that it's not far off. They are together. They just have a different way of looking at that. So, right, the wood, the spring has a lot to do with the production of our nature and getting ready for the summertime to plant our food so that we can be nourished. And so that will go into the fire phase that we'll talk about, but really thinking about spring and new beginnings. And if you find yourself, listeners, like you find yourself chronically having headaches, chronically being a little bit fatigued in the way of the muscles, like the muscles just feel heavy, like they're hard to move, or you're feeling like you can't make a decision to save your life, right? You just look at it and you're like, I just don't know what to do. One really good practice is to get moving, to exercise. Go do something fun. Go dance, go scream, let some energy out. And if you have a creative outlet, do that creative outlet because the creativity is going to spark that energy even more, and it's gonna surprise you. And I hear people when I say creative, everybody's like, well, I'm not an artist or I don't play guitar. There's every how many creative things, like making a podcast, that's
Mm-hmm.
creativity. Because you got to be
Mm-hmm.
creative in how you're going to do this and how you're going to find people and all of this kind of stuff. Creation can be anything. It could be cleaning your house and adding flowers to your living room. That's creativity. So, just whatever just kind of makes you smile and just kind of fills you up a little bit inside, do that and see what changes in your body, what chronic pains go away just by doing that.
Oh, I mean, we could have an entire podcast episode on that because just I feel so strongly about like aligning with what you feel like your purpose is on this earth and like finding fun in every day and how like all of that will make your entire body function better and make you happier. And we could just go on forever about it.
So true. I mean, it's so true. Like, we just get, I think, just bombarded with expectations, right? We are supposed
Hmm.
at 25, you should be doing this. At 30, you should be married and two kids. Like, and all of these different things. We're so individual and we do have different purpose. And it is about what is our purpose and how we can figure out. And that's what's beautiful about today's society, that everything's in question right now. So, you can be who you want to be in any capacity, in all capacities, and you can try it for a little bit. If you don't like it, well, you can try something else. Like we have that freedom, which is so great. So to kind of recap, because it's easy to kind of like,
Yeah, I'm getting us on a
yeah,
tangent.
because the wood energy is about that creativeness, right? It's about that expansion. And it is real. You can go down so many pathways with this because that is the beauty of the energy. It's like spring has so much potential,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is the wood phase, the potential of growth and to expand and to see what's new and try to find some newness in your life that will fill your cup instead of drain you. And so again, the wood phase is all about the liver, the gallbladder, the muscles, the ligaments, and the tendons, how we move through life, how we create things in our path of our life.
Thank you so much, Rebekah, for joining us again today. I learned so much about the wood element. I'm sure that everybody listening has had as many takeaways as me. I've been writing notes, we've been talking. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, Haven. And I appreciate what you're doing because we all need to have more access to different ideas about health and different ways of approaching. And what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? You've interviewed a lot of entrepreneurs. That's the wood energy, right? That's
Mhm.
that creativeness and that bravery to get out and actually try something new. So thank you for doing what you're offering to all of us as a community as well.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Health by Haven podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to give the show a 5-star rating and leave a review. It makes such a huge difference in reaching new people and spreading the joy of healthy living. I would also be so appreciative if you subscribe to the show in the listening app of your choice so you never miss an episode. Your support truly means the world to me. Have a happy, healthy day, and I'll talk to you again soon.